Hello everyone, welcome to It's Crochet O'Clock. My name is Stephanie and today we are going to be working on part 3 of the Arizona Crochet Along by Pippin Poppycock. If you're interested in finding Pippin Poppycock's website or the Facebook group, it will be in the description box below, which is super easy to find. And let's just get into part 3. We are going to begin with row 14, and that is the second color, which is silver if you're following along with the pattern. For me, it is a light yellow, and we are going to start with a standing double crochet on the back side of our work. That's very, very important. So I am just going to make a slip knot. And then yarn over, and you are going to find the first stitch, which might be a little bit difficult because we ended on a row of folding these trebles over in the single crochets, but it's right there. Here you go. Yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, pull through 2. So there is our standing double crochet. And for this row, you are going to work a double crochet in every space all the way to the end. So this is a nice little reprieve from the folding stitch to give us a little break, but you will just work double crochets all the way down to the end. But this row, don't fasten off because we are going to turn and work in the very same color. And I will meet you back for row 15. Okay, moving on to row 15. You might see some stitch markers in my work, and that's because I have counted to make sure that I have 271 stitches all the way across. You're going to turn your work and begin the row by chaining 3. 1, 2, 3, and that counts as our first double crochet. For the next step, we are going to work a front post treble around the next double crochet there. So you'll yarn over twice, insert your hook from behind, grab that yarn, pull it through, yarn over, and just finish off the treble as you normally would. Then in this next space, we are going to work a double crochet. And then another front post treble. Oh, sorry, just a double in the next. So it's alternating between double crochet in the actual stitch and then front post treble in the next stitch. And that is this row all the way across. This is how you will work it until you get to the end. When you get to the end, you'll have 271 stitches in total. There'll be 136 double crochets and 135 front post trebles. And I will see you for row 16. Don't cut your yarn because we're going to flip over and work on the wrong side again. Okay, row 16. This is row 15. That's what it looks like, creating this nifty little pattern, alternating back and forth front post trebles and doubles. For row 16, we are going to flip our work, and we are going to chain 1. This does not count as a stitch, and we are going to single crochet into every single stitch all the way down to the end. There will be 271 single crochets when we get to the end, and then we do not fasten off our work because we are going to turn again. So I will let you work these single crochets all the way to the end, and I will be back for row 17 when you have finished. Row 17, we are going to turn our work to where it's on the right side, and we are going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and that counts as our first double crochet. In the next stitch, which is a single crochet, we are going to double crochet, and then we are going to work another front post treble. So that's yarn over twice, and we are going to place this front post in this post of row 15. So we're going to skip over 16 and go down into row 15. There we go. And then we will place a double in this single crochet from row 16. And now we are going to place a front post treble right there. And then a double. And you are going to repeat this all the way down to the end, and you will have 2 stitches left at the end, and you will place 2 double crochets like we started. You will place 2 double crochets to finish the row. And again, we are not fastening off because we are going to turn for row 18, and I will meet you there. I have gotten to the end of row 17, and this is what it looks like. It doesn't look like much now, but as soon as we change color, you'll really be able to see this pattern pop out. It really is lovely. But for row 18, we are going to turn our work, and we are going to chain 1, and this does not count as a stitch, and we are going to place a single crochet in the first stitch, and then we are going to continue single crochet all the way across 271 single crochet stitches all the way over to the end. And you need to note not to forget to single crochet in the last stitch, which is going to be the chain 3 from row 17. Now, when we get to the end of this row, you have 2 options. You can either fasten off and attach another color, or you can, well, fasten off and attach another color, or you can do a quick change color, which is where you just, your very last stitch, you draw the loop of the new color through. I will be fastening off and starting the next row with a standing crochet because that is just my preference, and Pippin has given us the option to choose. So I will meet you back once you have single crocheted all the way across row 18 for row 19. Welcome back for row 19. We are going to be changing colors. If you are following along with the patterns colors, we are switching to gray. I am going to be going for this darker yellow color here. I wanted to point out at this point, if you start to see your work curling just a little bit, that's okay. That's perfectly normal. No need to panic. It will straighten itself out. This is one of those moments where we have an option where we can choose to switch colors the traditional way and at the last stitch pull through our last color, or we can use standing stitches. I'm a fan of standing stitches, so I am going to start with a slip knot and make my first stitch a standing double crochet stitch in the very first stitch. Now, if you are changing colors the traditional way, you will chain 3 at this point. So there we go. There's 1 pull through and 2 pulls through. All right, so there is our first double crochet. It will be a chain 3 if you have changed colors traditional. Now what we are going to do is we are going to work a front post treble in, well, around this double crochet stitch from 2 rows back. Let's see, there's treble here. And then we will work a double crochet in the next stitch, and that will be in the single crochet place. Then we'll work another front post treble around this. Always remember that your front post trebles are going to be the left to the left of the previous row. We're going to work a double in the next space, and then another treble. And this process will repeat all the way to the end. We have a double here. So you're going to do this all the way to the end, and I will meet you to begin row 20, and you will not be changing colors for row 20. Right, I have gotten to the end with my front post trebles and my double crochets. That's what it looks like. And I have turned my work. We're not going to cut our yarn or fasten off. We are going to chain 1 to start row 20. This does not count as a stitch. We are going to place a single crochet right there in that first stitch, and then continue on placing a single crochet in each stitch all the way into the end. 271 single crochets. Don't forget the end. If you changed your colors traditionally and you chain 3, don't forget to place a single crochet in the top of that chain 3. For those who started like I did with a standing double crochet, then you will place your last single crochet in the top of that standing single crochet. So pause the video, continue to work single crochets all the way down until the end, and I will see you for row 21. Don't fasten off. Alrighty, finished with row 20, which was single crochets. Now we are moving on to row 21. I have flipped over to the correct side of the work, the front side of the work, and we are going to start by chaining 3. There's 1, 2, and 3. That counts as our first double crochet. Now we're going to place another double crochet in the next stitch. Now we're going to begin our trebles again, going down into the same spaces we did down here. So we will work a treble front post right there. And then we will work a double crochet. There, and then a treble. And you are just going to continue this process all the way to the end. When you finish, you will end up with 2 stitches, and those will be your last 2 stitches of this row will be 2 double crochets. That is row 21. I will see you for row 22. Row 22. I have finished there, and this is going to be the last one for this color. We are going to chain 1. Oh, I've turned my work, by the way. We're working on the back side. So there's a chain 1, and that does not count as a stitch. We are going to place a single crochet in the first stitch, and then work single crochets in each stitch all the way to the end. Do not forget that you have a chain 3 that you will be placing a single crochet into at the end. You should have 271 single crochets when you finish, and then you can either change your color to color 4 the traditional way, or you can fasten off and then get ready for row 23. I will meet you there. Alrighty, it is time for a color change in row 23. If you are following along with the pattern, it is color 4, which is graphite in the original colorway. Mine is a light orange color. So we are going to start with a standing double crochet. If you are changing colors traditionally, that's fine, no worries. But for the standing double crochet, we are going to start in this first single crochet space, and then we will create our standing double crochet. If you have switched colors the traditional way, then you will chain 3 here. Now we are going to go right into a front post treble. So we'll yarn over twice, skip this one because that double crochet is for this space, and we are going to go into that one. There goes our triple. And then we are going to double crochet in this next space. And I like to crochet over my ends, so I do apologize if it looks a little bit messy at the beginning. I just dislike weaving in ends, so I crochet over them whenever I can. Now we're going to do another front post treble right here, working 2 rows below, and those are double crochets. And then we are going to place a double in the next space. and a treble front post again. And double into the next space, and you are just going to repeat that all the way down to the end, and we are not going to change colors this time, so I will meet you for the turn to row 24. Row 24 is much like the other ones. If you haven't yet gotten down the pattern, we are going to be doing a row of single crochets. We are not cutting off our work. I have already turned my work, so we are on the wrong side for row 24, and we are going to chain 1, and that does not count as a stitch. So our first single crochet goes into that first space, and you are simply going to single crochet all the way across to 271 stitches. And do not forget that if you chained up instead of doing standing stitches, that your last single crochet will go in that chain. If you did a standing stitch like I did, then your last single crochet should go in the top of that standing stitch. So when you get ready, or when you're finished at the end, I will meet you there for row 25. Don't fasten off, because we are going to turn our work and continue on with this color. Row 25 is worked on the right side of the work. We are going to stay with the same color that we had before. Don't forget to place a single crochet in the top of your chain 3 if that's how you began row 23. I just don't want you guys to miss that stitch. So for row 25, we are going to chain up 3. There's 1, 2, and 3. And then we are going to place a double crochet in the first space. And then we are going to place a front post treble down below, just as we have the other rows that are like this. I have nothing interesting to report with this one. This one is going to be just like the other ones below. We're working on building up our pattern with this gradient. So it is front post trebles and then double crochets in between. All the way across, alternating back and forth. Have a front post treble here, and then we will work a double in the next stitch. Don't forget that the front post treble, you're not going to stitch in the space behind it. You'll just leave it there. So you're going to do this, you're going to alternate front post trebles and then double crochet stitches all the way across to the end. And for finishing this row, you will end on 2 double crochets because we started with a chain 3 and then a double crochet. So it's going to end the same way. And again, we are not going to fasten off. We are going to continue on with this color for row 26. Row 26 is a repeat of row 24 and row 22 and row 20. This is the single crochet row. We are working on the back side of our work, and it begins with a chain 1. That does not count as a stitch. We are placing our first single crochet in that first space. We are going to single crochet all the way across. 271 single crochets. Do not forget that we chained 3 on row 25. So our last single crochet will go into the top of that chain 3, and then we are going to change colors to color 5. Now you can do that by the traditional color change where you work it into your last stitch, or we can start our next row with a standing stitch, which is what I prefer to do. So if you are like me and you like to start your rows with standing stitches, since Pippin has given us the option, you will fasten off and then change colors. Get ready. I will see you for row 27. Row 27 is worked on the right side of the work, and we are changing colors, and I am going to start with a standing double crochet. If you changed colors traditionally, then you will chain 3 for your first stitch, but I am going to work in this first stitch a standing double crochet, find my tail there, there we go, standing double crochet. And now for the next stitch, we are going to work a front post treble around that post down below. And then a double in the next space. And then another front post treble. Down below. And then a double in the next space. And you will just continue on with this pattern. Front post double crochet, or front post treble, crochet stitch here, double crochet, front post treble, all the way down to the end, and you are not going to fasten off your work. I will meet you there for the flip over for row 28. Row 28, and it is the final row in the third part of Arizona. It's worked on the back, and we have just finished our front post trebles and doubles working across the front. And now, because you've been doing it so long, you might just want to chain 1 and assume that we're going into single crochets, but we are not. We are going to chain up 3, and we are going to work double crochets all the way across. This chain 3 counts as our first double crochet, so our first stitch is not going to be right here, it's going to be right there. We are going to double crochet right there and work double crochets all the way across to the end. If you started with a standing stitch like I did, then your last stitch, your last double crochet will be in the top of that standing stitch. If you changed colors the traditional way and your first stitch on the last row was a chain 3, then you are going to place your last double crochet in the top of that chain 3. You'll have 271 double crochets all the way across, and when you get there, I will meet you there. I have finished with row 28, and I have woven in my end, and that is the last row for part 3 of the Arizona Crochet Along. This is what it looks like. Now all you guys need to do is flip your work over and repeat everything that we've done here on the other side. I will see you next week for part 4. Thank you for watching.